Hey, this is Justin. Thanks for watching this video about real AI search performance data. I'll explain what that means in a second. If you don't know me, I'm Justin Denham. I'm founder of Aircule. Aircule is a organic growth agency. We build content systems for clients. So you can think of us as an AEO, SEO agency. You can think of us as a content strategy agency. You can think of us as a production agency. You can think of us as a PMM agency. We cut across all these things to build high performance, high velocity content systems for clients that get them the visibility they want, that connect content to pipeline, that do all this other stuff. So that's a really quick version of what Aircule is. And today I want to talk about Bing, and I want to talk about LLM visibility, and I want to talk about some cool new stuff that's in Bing Webmaster Tools, which is a tool that a lot of people sleep on. I'm not saying you should be spending all your time in Bing Webmaster Tools, but it's some pretty interesting tabs and capabilities. They're trying a little bit harder than Google Search Console. So the thing I want to talk about is visibility in LLMs and how some new features in Bing help you get real data on your visibility, which up to now has not been available. So how do we measure AI search visibility, LLM visibility? Normally what we do is we look at how often are we mentioned in queries. So if I go to the front page of, let's say, Profound, and hide this banner, I'm going to share my screen. And there are lots and lots of tools like this that you can use in your content system, but here's Profound, super well known. You can see like, oh, brand visibility. How often are you mentioned in relation to specific prompts? And the way that tools like Profound work is they literally take your prompts and they query different LLMs. They send the questions to all the different LLMs, and then they parse the responses and they see if you're mentioned. So if I were to go into Claude and I were to say, we'll share this, and I will just say, you know, what's the best accounting software for a small marketing agency or a small business? We'll put that in here. And then what will happen is it will give us a response, and then it will mention a bunch of brands. FreshBooks, QuickBooks, Xero, Harvest, all this stuff. And it'll give you some other advice too. So that's kind of, in an important sense, all these tools are doing. And I'm going to add a little banner here, and we're going to call this How LLM Visibility Tools Work. Okay. That's, in a sense, all they're doing is they are going out to just what I did, going to Claude, going to ChatGPT, going to Perplexity, whoever it is, issuing the query that you think is commercially important that your customers are using, and then reading the response and parsing out what brands show up. That's sort of all they're doing. There's a lot of work involved in doing that. We have our own internal tools to do that. There's a lot of work, but that is essentially what they're doing. Okay. The problem with this is that we don't know what prompts are actually, we can make a guess. We can use keyword data and all sorts of other things to guess at what, you know, people are using to search and what questions they're asking and how often, all that stuff, but we don't actually know. And what I'm going to show you in Bing doesn't completely solve that problem, but it does help a bit with that. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that it is essentially a statistical exercise, and you are asking LLMs a whole bunch of times. You're getting lots of different responses for different prompts, and then you're calculating what percent of the time you show up. But it's not like a sort of real stat. There's no master data that Claude has, that Anthropic has, about all of the prompts that you have ever been issued and how often you show up for them. So that's another one. So those are the two things that are kind of a little bit of a problem with this approach. It's still a pretty good approach. And so the reason I want to talk about Bing today and Bing Webmaster Tools is they have started to provide actual data. And so what I'm going to do is show you what that actual data looks like and how we can use it. So let's get this open here. And I will share my screen. Okay, cool. So this is aircule.com. We don't have a lot of citations, but we have some. It's good. We're working on it. We've been writing some stuff lately. We've been working on our LLM optimization stuff. And this is the main interface, is this new AI performance tab in here. And this shows you actual citations from Copilot, which is not Claude, and it's not ChatGPT, but it is a thing that's used. It is real data. So it shows you actual citations and actual pages that are being cited. And we're not being cited a lot yet, and that'll change. But one of the things that we've done recently is we've started writing about content systems and really started talking about that. You will see right here that we got cited over the past few weeks 30 times in Copilot for content systems. And that's important because Copilot, which is the LLM that we're using for this, that we're being given data for, is saying like, hey, you're going from 0 to 30. That's real progress. And you could imagine, might be 10 times that, 100 times that, whatever it is in some of these other things. But this is real data, and it's showing you this happening over time. You can start to see more citations here as the content that we've written starts to take effect and show up and all that stuff. And we just wrote a blog post a few weeks ago. So you can also see some of that really happening there. So that's one, is grounding queries. And then the other thing that this is showing you, and grounding queries are like roughly what the actual queries are. And if you look at your thing in Bing Webmaster Tools, you'll see lots and lots of queries most likely, and you'll probably see some pretty interesting things there you didn't think about. And then the other thing that we can see here is the pages, and you can see what pages are actually getting cited. And this is great because if you create content and you, with the intent of getting more visibility, this will show you real data on which pages are actually getting cited. Now, some of this is covered by the stuff that I already told you. For example, if you're going out and querying the LLMs a million times and you're counting up the number of times pages are cited, that's fine. That's like a pretty good proxy, but this is real data, and you're probably going to find some surprises in here. The other really exciting thing about this is that it strongly suggests that Google may do this at some point. Bing Webmaster Tools does have a bunch of features that Google Search Console never kind of added. So it's not a guarantee, but we should be on the lookout for being able to track what are the actual queries that are being issued that lead to our site. How many times are we being cited over time and watching that number going up? And then also how many pages on our site are being cited and what are those pages and are they contributing? So that's basically it for today, which is now we have a little bit of real AI, actual AI search performance data. And there are other ways to get this. There are other ways to approximate it. There are tools you can connect to your server logs and your this and your that. And that's great. Those are all helpful. But this is a version of Google Search Console that works with real AI data. And you'll probably find some surprises in here. By the way, Bing Webmaster Tools is super easy to set up. If you have Search Console for Google set up, you can actually import those sites into Bing Webmaster Tools. And there's a lot of interesting other features that can be useful here or there for thinking about the performance of your content. So that's it for today. I wanted to spread the news of real AI search performance data, contextualize it for you, tell you where to find it, give you some hints about how to use it, and really appreciate your watching this. I'm Justin at aircule.com. And let me know if you have questions or other thoughts, and see you next time. Bye.